Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another week of Writers Chat. We're so glad to have you with us, whether you're here in person. Well, I mean, not in person, but here
Live.
live, or if you're watching the replay. I'm Johnny Alexander. I'm joined by Melissa Stroh and Brandy Brow, and we're going to turn it over to Brandy because she's in charge today. And we're going to be doing some creative writing exercises. So, Brandy, take it away.
Hello. We have a great Come Write With Us session today. It is creative brain versus editor's brain. And of course, since we're writing, we're going to be going into the creative brain today. We could go into the editor brain, but I don't want to go there today because editor brain always takes over all the time on me. So creative brain, there's where we're going. And I have a little thing to share. We will see how it goes. It's the first time that I have used a PowerPoint type presentation. So we'll see how it goes. Y'all see my creative brain and editor brain?
Yes.
Okie dokie. So creative brain and editor brain. Writer chat, come write with us. We have the editor brain. He's the lefty. Editor brain likes to be analytical. He's often judgmental. He can be an assertive bull. You try and start something creative and he's like, kind of pushes his way through and pushes the other guy out. He likes to interfere. He demands time to process. Have you ever noticed that if you want to start creating something, you just, the editor brain kind of gets in and goes, hold on. I need to figure this out. Wait, I need to try and be creative. And that's actually not creative brain. That's editor brain weaseling his way in there. He tends to panic when he's forced to produce quickly because he likes the time to get everything in order, make sure all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and really just likes to interfere. So he also likes to work alone a lot of the time. I mean, let's think about this. As writers, how many of us actually really edit together? Do we ever really edit together? We like to brainstorm together sometimes, but edit together, not so much. He's kind of a loner. But the one nice thing about editor brain is that he can learn to wait his turn. He's not used to it. So he's kind of like the pusher, and always wants to get to the front. But, it's important, kind of like the spoiled brat child, to learn to wait his turn and sit down and let somebody else go in front for a little bit. Now, the creative brain, the righty, she's fun. She's playful. She can be a little weird, which sometimes gives her a mental complex. Excuse me a minute. Please, no milk on my desk, my dear. No drinks on the desk where computers are. My daughter, that you can't see, is right next to me. Creative brain is unique, which is why she's so interesting. But creative brain is shy and sensitive. So when Mr. Editor decides he's going to shove his way in there and try and fix things up, she will step back and tend to freeze when she's feeling pushed or bullied, and she will sit down and just let editor brain take over, and she'll just keep sitting there and will go silent. And because she's sensitive, she can often feel like her output is not very valuable. Sometimes she might feel stupid a lot. Anybody feel stupid when they're trying to create something and you're just putting things down and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such drivel. Yeah. Well, that's because she's sensitive and the editor brain is a little pushy. However, creative brain excels on the spot. So if you put her and say, okay, do this, believe it or not, she can pull something out of nowhere, which editor brain, he can't do that, but the creative brain can. So consequently, creative brain actually loves tight deadlines. You might not think so, but that's editor brain trying to analyze and think things through. Creative brain really does love tight deadlines because that's where she thrives. She also thrives in group play. So, we get together and we brainstorm. She just starts sparking off all these ideas. It's kind of like little sparks of fireworks that just start going. She works quickly, and because she tends to sit down and set back, she can kind of atrophy and have a hard time getting going. But she can develop. So she can grow and learn that, yeah, it's okay. You kind of have to coax her out and say, all right, come on out. It's all right. And once she feels comfortable, then she can start really firing and producing. Now, I have to say, when I sit down and write, most of my writing is lefty, editor brain. I don't spend a whole lot of time allowing my creative brain to really flourish. And so my creative brain has just kind of sat down too long, and I need to give more time to that side of my writing self. And I tend to think that probably a lot of writers do this. A lot of writers don't often practice creativity on a regular basis. And that's something that I've really been thinking about. Is I think it's really important for a writer, especially when you want to generate ideas, to not just sit down like once a month or the next time you want to do a new project and start generating ideas, but to actually develop a regular practice of creating. And so that's actually one of the reasons that we have this Come Write With a session quarterly, because it helps us to get into that. But in your own personal space, I think it is super, super important to maybe even once a week, or goodness, imagine this, maybe once a day, do something creative. For a little while, I got out of the habit, but I did for a little while. First thing when I wake up in the morning, when I have literally no brain, and editor brain absolutely cannot do a thing because he's crippled, I would write one page, whatever just came to mind. I would just sit there and just put it down. And let me tell you, folks, first thing in the morning for me is not a pretty thing. I'm usually, my head hurts. My body is not great. Sometimes I'm dizzy, but for about a month or so, I pulled out a book and I wrote a page. And there is such creative stuff on those pages. And that's something I really need to get back to doing. I just allowed myself to get cramped in the morning and not allow that 10, 15 minutes it took for me to handwrite. And I would handwrite. There's something about handwriting that stimulates creativity, whereas typing on a keyboard, even though that tactile feel might feel great, it's not exactly the same as handwriting. So those are some things about editor brain and creative brain. Ways to boost your creativity. Do something new. Why? Because creative brain needs new. And when we do the same thing over and over and over, we get stuck in a rut. And so the creativity part of us will just kind of sit to the side and not function, because it's in a pattern of doing the known and the regular. Try completing tasks out of order. If you have a regular schedule, mix up your schedule. Drive a way that you've never gone before and let GPS guide you. I actually did this yesterday. We have road construction, and on the way to my doctor appointment, which is like way far away, they had like 10 miles of road construction. I'm like, oh, that could be a nightmare to get through. So I went all the way around through a different town, but it had been a long time since I'd gone that way and I wasn't quite sure about which way to go. So I plugged in my GPS and just let GPS guide me. And you know what? It was actually really great. And it got me looking at different sites I hadn't seen in quite a while. And that stimulates creativity. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Even just do it for kicks, because let me tell you, it can be interesting trying to get your hand to do something it is not used to doing. And that actually does stimulate the other side, and allows you to do something different. Doodle or scribble on a page and make something from it, like, and then like color in the little spots or make something out of it. Color on a page or in a coloring book. Read a different genre than you normally read. Go for a walk and notice the details around you. And how about something we do a lot? Watch reels and brainstorm story or article ideas from them. So on the next slides, we are going to do something interesting. I want you to write in the chat, and that means, where's my chat? Let's see if I can pull out my chat. There's my chat. I found my chat. Yay. I want you to write in the chat any phrases and verbs that come to mind. If you're watching the replay, just write it on a piece of paper, type it in a document. And the next 4 slides are going to be a sequence of little videos. And I just want you to throw anything into the chat that comes to mind. Don't try and plan anything, just anything. So we're just going to shoot. It's kind of like a telephone game. You just put it out there. All right. You guys put some great things in there. I had that love the flower pot, flowers in the rain, drenching, need soup, stay indoors, no umbrellas in the wind. Let's see, grab flowers, hang on to your hat into the forest from the forest one, fairy hunt, rattlesnakes. Whose trail is this? Is that a mushroom? Before that, you got fresh air. What will we find? Lost, the road not taken. Watch out for those branches. Zootopia. Back to when we had the porcupine. Somebody said, what kind of animal? Danger. Ouch, you can't see me, because he kept going behind the tree. Lumbering is a great word. Prickly. Doop de doo. I love that. Sneaking. And then when we had the chipmunk, nosy, friendly, feast, Alvin, that was great. Hippie dance, stealing, where's my nuts? Squirrel, Chubby cheeks, nutty, autumn, forage, scamper, cute little guy. Yeah, so a lot of great comments in the chat. All right. We are going to take some time to write. So we're going to write for 15 minutes. And we're going to write about creatures, nature, weather. If you're watching the replay, if I can figure out how to do it for my sharing, because it could be interesting, I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back and on the replay. It will just be a short moment if I can pause it while sharing. But then the rest of us here, we will pause. We will write for 15 minutes about creatures, nature, and weather. Hopefully those previous exercises and putting out all those different things stimulated your creativity and got it kind of ramping up. So grab a piece of paper, a document, or anything, and we will start writing. And if I can't find the pause share button, I'll deal with it later. The pause video. So we'll just start writing now, and I will tell everybody when time is up. So go ahead and write. All right, everybody, time is up. While everybody takes a minute to finish up their sentence and come back, I'm going to invite all of you to come on screen if you like. And while you're doing that, I just want to say for anybody that is watching the replay that you're welcome to join us live at our next Writers Chat. We meet most Tuesdays at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And we have a Facebook group called Writers Chat Members, where you can find more details. We usually post all of our upcoming shows in that group. So get over there and join if you're interested. That way you can join us live next time. And we also have a whole host of replays on our YouTube channel and Serious Writer channel. It is a Writers Chat playlist in the Serious Writer channel. So you can head over to YouTube, and there's like well over 4 years, if not more, of all kinds of replays and lots of things that you can learn over there. So with that, I'm going to stop my screen share, and I would like to hear what others got down. All right, nice to see all your lovely faces. And I have to say, I wrote some things that my editor brain wanted to say, this is stupid, this is stupid, this is stupid. And I just said, okay, nope, just sit down, keep going. I wrote things that didn't make sense. I wrote things that normally I wouldn't write, whereas if I'm, like something that's redundant, or like I said something like preachers did this, and then later on I came back with one preacher that was doing something. Obviously that doesn't make sense, but that's okay, because remember what I said, creative brain is weird, right? Creative brain is fun. Creative brain isn't always going to make sense, but you weed through all of that stuff and there's a lot of interesting things. And then you can allow the editor brain to come in and say, okay, well, this is interesting and this is interesting, and we can put these together and we can make something more out of it. So that's where we kind of start. So don't feel like, oh, I just did a horrible exercise. If you got anything down, anything at all, then you did great. So would anybody like to share anything that they wrote? If not, I can start, because mine is, yeah, you'll just see how me it can be, but that's okay. So creative brain, remember, she's sensitive, She's probably easily discouraged. So we kind of need to call her and say, it's okay, be who you are. Let Creative Brain be who she is. Let her put the things out on page because she has a lot of treasures to offer. All right, I see Pam has your hand up. Please share, Pam.
Yeah, well, my creative brain isn't random, so I actually have part of a story.
That's awesome.
Okay. Stephen Chipmunk stuck his head out of his burrow. He sniffed the morning air. Ooh, be a perfect morn for getting me some acorns. After a quick breakfast of dried apples and oats, Stephen stood in his doorway and took 3 big breaths, pushing the air into his cheeks as hard as he could. Grandpap taught him that when he was a wee chipmunk. Stretches them cheeks, Stevie, so yours can fit more in, he would say. Ready for gathering, he set out on his usual path. At first he thought he might be the first one out, but after going only 10 feet, he almost ran headlong into Charles Squirrel. Hey, watch it, will you? Charles snapped. Stevie darted around him. Sorry, he called over his shoulder. Dang squirrel threw me rhythm off, he muttered. As he grumbled in his head, Stephen didn't notice the direction he was going. He tripped over a mushroom and smashed his nose in a clump of moss. Oh, are you okay? Stephen shook his head. I be fine. Then he looked around to see who spoke. At first he didn't see anyone. Then he noticed someone, or something, peering through a group of fiddlehead ferns. Hello, he said. What be you? The fern shook as the face pulled back. Don't be shy. I won't be hurting you. Stephen took a couple of steps closer. Come on out. One of the fiddlehead ferns unfurled, and a creature Stephen had never seen before rolled out onto the ground.
Well, that's cool. You have to finish that.
Yeah, in all my spare time, right? I have 3 novels that have to be finished, so.
Well, I don't think this is a novel piece.
Nah.
And when you need a break from the editing, you can go and do this, right?
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to share? That was great. I love that. And it's interesting how people's minds work. Some people, they automatically go write the story. Other people, it's, can be really abstract. Everybody has a different type of creative brain, the way it works. Betty?
Okay, I went with a Chippy story too. Chippy watched the bough of leaves fall to the ground. Jumping for joy, he leapt closer and began shredding acorns from the branches. He filled his chubby cheeks and munched until a sudden gust of wind lifted the leaves into the air. He danced after the leaf branch. Each time it landed, Chippy grabbed an acorn and munched. Let's see, my sentences are running together. But the wind kept whipping further down the forest trail. Soon a fierce rain joined the wind. The branch flew down the trail. A wet Chippy kept following, grabbing an occasional acorn as they trailed deeper into the trees. Chippy grew weaker, but didn't give up until the branch landed high in a fir tree. Wet and exhausted, he sat as the rain and wind whipped around him. He curled into a ball and napped and made a plan for when the storm ended. When he awoke to clearing skies, he saw a rainbow in the sky and remembered God's promise. Filled with hope and courage, he spotted an arching branch leading to the top of the fir tree. When he reached his branch, lodged in the fir tree, he discovered several more branches to collect acorns from, enough for the coming winter.
Oh, that's nice. Everybody that gets a more thought out thing always impresses me. My brain does not start there. Maybe it's because my brain is atrophied when it comes to the creativity side. But that was really, really great. How did you feel writing it?
It was good because I've been doing a lot of editing lately, and it's been real good to just let the juices flow.
Oh, nice. Pam, also, did it feel good to just let the juices flow since you've been doing some other stuff?
Yes and no, only because dang it, now I got another story to write, and I got 3 more to finish, and I'll get it. But and actually I'm sitting here thinking because editor brain's now on,
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, man, it's not a chipmunk. I think I'm gonna have to change him into a gnome, I think. though.
You would change them into a gnome, but that would be appropriate for you. I
I
love
haven't
that.
written gnomes before, so I'm like,
But fits right in with the fairies. So
well, yeah. I just have to figure out what kind of creature rolled out of the fiddlehead fern.
for a minute, I thought you were going with a porcupine.
I thought about it, but then I thought, no. I have to think of something. I have to come up with a creature. I thought about a snail, but not sure how that would work. We'll see.
Yeah.
When I change it to a gnome, that might help me.
I'm curious if anybody ended up doing anything with nonfiction. Dennis, would you like to share?
Sure. Mine is all over the place. So
That's fine.
it's I did the creature, nature, and weather, all of it. And my my disorder kind of hinders my creativity sometimes, and then I'm always on editor mode as well, because it can take me an hour to write one page or something, because I sit and edit in my head while I'm writing and stuff too.
It's hard to
But
turn them off.
yeah, this is it says it's supposed to rain only between 2 and 5 a.m. The sun should shine 20 hours a day. I love daffodils and all yellow flowers. One of the most relaxing activities is to tramp through the woods. Koala bears are intriguing. Like I said, I go all over the place. It's great to walk through the zoo and enjoy all the animals. Bernheim Forest is the most beautiful place on earth. The trails, nature center, picnic areas, lakes, trees from other countries, and a vast 10,000 acres of forest are peaceful, calming, and inspiring. Deer are graceful.
That's great.
So it covered everything.
No, it's good because it's your creativity stretching out in branches, kind of like, tentacles just reaching out in different directions. I would like to read. If you guys hear my daughter singing in the background, I'm sorry. I tried to tell her to shh, but she's got her hearing aids in, and all she's hearing is the music in her iPad, not me saying shh. I want to share what LM put in the chat because she doesn't have a mic. She put it in the chat. She wrote, as Eileen stood on the porch looking out at the dark, thunderous clouds rolled in, thundering like 1,000 elephants. Was that sound similar to what Gideon heard on the front line? She walked into the entrance way, which was once filled with light and happy, now became dark and gloomy for what was ahead. With the Lord's help, she will stand firm. That's great. I really like that. This gives you a nice sense of setting and kind of get an idea of where you are. And I like that. It's very good. Would anybody, you thought that was your cat crying for attention? Yeah, no, sorry. Jill. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there. I went with the path and was just thinking about a path, and so I went in a totally different direction. And then I started editing before I put Jessie had walked the path before, but this time she felt the stillness close in on her. She trotted as fast as she dared, and the darkness would allow. Her heart pounded, making her clutch at her chest fretfully. Henry would soon realize she left. If she had timed it right, she would reach the road and flag someone down before he caught her. The path turned left, but she knew she needed to go right through the brush to get to the road. This would be quicker. She heard a distant yell and held her breath. He knew. She flung herself out onto the road as headlights came toward her. The light slowed and stopped as she heard the four-wheeler start at the cabin. And then I just started editing and thinking that doesn't make a lot of sense, but anyway.
All right, well, let me help you feel better. I will read the whole thing that I wrote, and because it's in like pieces and it doesn't make sense. So maybe this will help all the rest of you feel better. Creatures lumbered up and down the forest as the rain pummeled on the land. Too many times they had gone to the other side and not found enough food for their families. Meandering chipmunks gathering nuts zipped by as the lone duck pondered the side of the building, looking for something interesting to do. He found a hole in the siding and went up to it, inserting his beak into the hole. "Hey, what are you doing in my home?" a little mouse said. "This is my place. Get out." "Oh, I was just looking for something to do." "Well, go look elsewhere. This is my hole." What a rude little creature, the duck thought to himself and backed away. Cut. Down by the river, the wind whipped along, ripping the trees back and forth like someone swiped them with a giant scythe. Flowers bowed to the ground, paying homage to the royalty in their presence. It wasn't often the queen came down with a gust of wind as her entourage. Cut. Once upon a time, a little furry creature sat in the bright sunshine and let his fur soak up the heat, unaware that it turned his fur a funny shade of purple. But the other creature saw it and snickered. "What is that?" the birds asked each other from a nearby tree. "I think it's a funny type of flower," said a passing butterfly. "But it has no green," said a June bug. "Maybe it's a funny mushroom," the birds countered. The butterfly shrugged her antennae. Then the creature moved. Everyone in the tree startled. "The mushroom is loose!" The June bug hollered and flew away as fast as he could. "I'll settle this," said a young bird who had just learned to fly and didn't know much yet about the world, but wanted to learn, and off the branch he flew. He glided to a stop in front of the purple lump that now turned a strange reddish color. "Chipper-day! Oh, strange one." Yeah, so you can see my mind bounces and bounces and not everything makes sense. And that's okay. It's really okay. Anybody else like to share? We have some more time and lots of other people. See, now you know what mine was like. It's like, "Ugh." So Editor Brain goes, "Ugh." But there are some interesting things there that like, you could do something with this here and there, and just like everybody else. Jean. Muted again. You did have it unmuted for a minute. There we go.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Sandy followed the path. She thought, this must have been made by the deer. I'm following the footsteps of the deer. I wonder where they'd been and where they were going. Did they notice the chipmunk stuffing his cheeks with acorns? Did they notice the lumbering porcupine? Where do deer go when it rains? Do they hide under the trees and try to keep dry? Do they enjoy the gentle pelting of the raindrops on their fur? Does the water wash through the hair and wash away dirt accumulated on their skin? Where do deer go when it rains? Or chipmunks? Do they retreat to a burrow to escape the downpour? Or do they chase the raindrops? Does their hair repel rain? Or does it let the cleansing water through to clean their skin? Do porcupine quills repel water? Do porcupines hide from the rain? That's it.
I like that because now it's got me thinking about what do they do? Where do they go? Now I want to know all the answers. That's really good. I hope that you keep doing all that. Thanks for sharing. Can I pick on you, Melissa?
The other one or me?
Either one of you.
I'm
Either
happy
one
to
of you.
share.
Oh,
Mine
yes,
is
please.
Mine is a mix. Lord, I love going outside to see what is growing and grown, to hear the bird song in the morning. As I read this morning, you are the Lord of it all. You do what you say. You are the one in charge always. You rule from the heavens. All creatures from our God and King, lift up your voices and sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Porcupinus was snuffling around looking for Sir Stripes. Why had he not reported in for duty yet? Lady Fuzzytail and Sir Who had given their reports of the kingdom, but not Sir Stripes. Where was he? Probably out playing with a leaf. He was supposed to report on the sky quadrant and had not reported yet. He had better head that way and see if he could meet him as he came. Porcupinus did not like to go in that direction because things always became attached to his royal robe and quills. Then later, Madame Porcupinus would fuss at him about the mess. He tried to pick his way carefully, but he was never careful enough. As he looked back, he saw green and brown leaves attached. He tried to shake them off while walking toward the skyward direction. Poof, poof. I tried to find the direction. He heard something finally. Maybe it's finally Sir Stripes reporting. He stretched his neck to see what's ahead. Bang, oof, umph. Porcupinus was on his back with his quills in the dirt. Above him was Sir Stripes. Eek! Woo. Spit it out, Sir Stripes. Enough and get off me. Sorry, was the reply of Stripes, stripping off of him. You what? Porcupinus prompted. I saw the monster and stared it down. Then I finally ran for it to report to you and report. A monster, said Porcupinus. What did it look like? It was huge with big eyes and pointy things all around its head like yours. We stared at each other and then I ran.
And we're all amazed how you're reading so well and this amazing story while like playing with your cat.
Write a story with you, girl.
Love that story. That's great. I love the name. Such creativity. See, there's a lot of creativity that's gone on today. I'm curious, did anybody else start doing something in a nonfiction vein? No? There was a little bit. I caught glimpses.
The
The beginning of yours was. Yes, the beginning of yours was. Yep. Well, this has been wonderful. Does anybody want to, we might have time for like one more person to share if you want to before we talk about what's coming up next week. Any other brave soul want to share? You wrote Fiction with a Chipmunk, but changed to the other story you read. Yep, Jill, that was Jill. All right, so it doesn't look like we have anybody else that would like to share. That's okay. I hope that this stimulates you to do some creativity. And I really encourage you to take regular times to just sit down and write something. You know, set a timer for 15 minutes or 15 felt a little long for you, set it for 10 and just let yourself write anything on a page. Just force yourself to keep writing. Pull out a picture, look at it and write something about the picture. If you want to go back to the replay, pull up that slide that had a list of ideas for how to stimulate your creativity and work with that, and then go to a page and write something down after doing that. Practicing the creativity will help more unique ideas come. It will help them to come more freely, more easily, and loosen up any stiffness of the creative brain that might have gotten in there from so much editing. You know, we all need to edit, but it's really easy to get stuck in that mode. And the creativity is just so important. So I'm really glad that all of you came today and wrote with us. Looking forward to the next time we get to do this again together. Melissa, what do we have going on next week?
Next week, we're going to have author G.M. Baker come share with us about Substack. So I have a little premise that he shared with me that I can read for you real quick. He said that the economics of being a writer have never been more difficult in a changing media landscape. How do writers make money and connect with their audience? Substack seeks to give writers greater control of their relationship with their audience and to change the way they get paid for their work. But is it right for your work? And is it the right platform for your newsletter? So next week, he's going to share with us about this new platform and the potential ways it can help authors in developing their newsletters and their platform and selling their work. So I'm looking forward to that.
Looking forward to that too. Yeah, that's great. All right, so I'm going to end the recording now, but for those of us here, if you would like to stay for 10, 15 minutes for the after party, especially if you would like to share off recording, please stay with us. And for those of you that are watching the replay, come join us live sometime. See you next time. If I can find the stop record button. Bye.